Hello, cooking enthusiasts. This week's video should be relatively short and simple, and maybe a little bit silly, but I developed a recipe that I'm actually really happy with. What I endeavored to do was create the ultimate chocolate milk, and I'm sure at some point I will also follow this up because the current version of the recipe uses all store-bought ingredients, which is pretty unusual for my drink recipes. So I'm sure at some point I will make my own chocolate syrup designed for this drink, but for now, let's go to my finalized first recipe. The name of this video is probably slightly confusing because this drink isn't a milkshake, but instead chocolate milk made with a cocktail shaker. I wouldn't consider this drink a cocktail or even a mocktail. It's definitely just chocolate milk, but I did borrow some techniques and even some ingredients to make a more delicious drink. I decided to use a cocktail shaker because it gets us two very important things. It allows us to rapidly chill the drink, and it provides some frothy texture. You might be wondering why we want the drink that cold, and to that I would say the temperature is going to help us manage the sweetness of the drink while still allowing us to use a lot of chocolate syrup for the chocolate flavor. The downside of the cocktail shaker is that we don't get our chilling without dilution. Obviously, nobody wants watery chocolate milk, so we compensate for that by adding a little bit of heavy cream. So the final recipe that I have found through probably too much experimentation is 120 to 125 mils of whole milk, or about 4 ounces, 30 to 35 mils, or about 1 ounce of heavy whipping cream. Anything in the 30-35% fat range will work. A full 45 mils of chocolate syrup. In this case, I'm using Nesquik brand, but I imagine most brands are going to be relatively similar in sugar content. You could bring this down to 30 mils if you wanted to, but I would recommend trying it once at 45. Now is when the ingredients get a little bit crazy. I would do 2 to 4 dashes of aromatic bitters, and I like Angostoras, but any brand should work. As an optional ingredient, I would say between 1 or 3 dashes of some other type of bitters. I like walnut bitters, but orange or coffee bitters would also be delicious. 5 to 8 drops of salt water solution, about 10% salt water, or just a very tiny pinch of salt. The final ingredient is optional but highly recommended. 8 to 10 mils or 2 bar spoons worth of hazelnut oil. All of the ingredients go into the shaker, and I'll sometimes do an initial shake without ice just to incorporate the ingredients, and then do 20 or 25 seconds of hard shaking with 2 large ice cubes. After shaking, it's just poured into an already chilled glass, of course, and the drink is done. Maybe this is too much work for chocolate milk, but for me, I sometimes have a nostalgic craving, and this version is pretty much the best chocolate milk I've ever tasted. The bitters are technically alcoholic, but you use so little that I would consider the drink itself to be non-alcoholic. So it might be kind of fun for a party where adults were having cocktails and kids would want something equivalent, and you could even experiment with some different syrups and a little other ingredients. And as I mentioned earlier, this drink utilizes all store-bought ingredients, so I hope some of you actually give it a try. If you have any questions around this, please let me know in the comments. If you liked this, please consider sharing and subscribing. Otherwise, thank you for watching.